Alright, another morning here at home. I gotta leave again later today to get back to the coast. And I'm gonna take our friend Jeff and his son out fishing. He's never had his son out fishing before out in the ocean, so this is gonna be a real good time. Hopefully, right? Well, of course it will be, but hopefully get some fish in. Now, got a real lengthy email here from the Arizona 4. I haven't read it. And it is got it's titled Edgar's Info Collaboration. Here we go. So just so you guys know, we brought up Edgar is like a bridge between us and another group of individuals who are very knowledge filled. And Edgar does not research this topic. He has contacts who are deeply, deeply intertwined into the topic for a long time. And he is the conduit between those people and us, us. Okay? Just so you guys know, if there's any confusion there, that's how it's been going down. Edgar had his unfortunate experience, which has given him some sort of a blood cancer. They're 100% convinced the cancer came from that experience that he had. He said there is no way he was exposed to radiation during his career at all, period. They're just too safe, too cautious. So there. And he's looking for answers for himself as well. Excuse me. So, what was he going to share? Going to share. So, one thing I thought of, a little off topic, but on top from yesterday, was I just realized that if I receive whatever power source I am going to receive or get or purchase or acquire myself, I should be able to live stream 24/7, right? So this is my plan. So once I fly into this remote lake, what I'm going to do is I might build a cache, I might not, or else I might go back into the timber and raise some poles way up, because I'm gonna have a substantial amount of equipment to stash in the woods while I go up this huge mountain, which I won't be taking all those items. So what I'm thinking is, and I'll be go up in those mountains for maybe a week or something, and then I'll come down, back down to the lake, and then I'll be at the lake for I don't know how much longer after that. I might go up into another mountain on this side of another side of the lake or whatever, but I will have my inflatable boat and the outboard at the lake and all my equipment. So what I'm thinking is, if I get like a Rubbermaid container, because I think if to live stream on YouTube, obviously I would need my laptop, not my phone, because my phone will be with me to use with my InReach, which is a personal location device, and I can text through it anywhere on the globe. So I will be using that when I'm up in the mountain trying to get a mountain sheep. As I'm sleeping up in the mountain for possibly, I'll give it about a week, should be enough. And then I'll hike back down the lake. So during that week that I'm up on the mountain, if I was to get like a Rubbermaid, put a hole down in the bottom, tight lid, put it like, I don't know, 14 feet in the air, and hang it so that the raindrops does not fill up the container. Put my laptop in there, have the power source nearby, maybe put the power source up too, possibly two, right? Obviously I need sunlight to hit it. Sounds like I'm going to be using solar. Then, if I had some kind of a camera with hopefully a long cable, and I could get the lens and I could angle it so that it's right on the shore of the lake, the game trail along the shore of the lake with the epic view, the sun will be behind it, and let it live stream 24/7 while I'm up the mountain for a week. How insanely crazy would that be? Maybe some modern tech geeks, this probably sounds like a no-brainer, too easy to do. But think about it. I'm the guy that got amazed when VHS tapes came out and you could actually watch people hunting on video. What? Right? Yeah. So, excuse me. I'm going to try to do that. You imagine? You guys could log on to that anytime at all, see what's going on in the lake, see what kind of moose or bull moose or grizzly bear or pack of wolves going by, listen to the night sounds, whatever. That would be absolutely insane. And I think when it live streams, it saves the recording too, does it not? So you can actually go back during the days and see what's on there. Oh my God, how crazy would that be? I will really, really try to do that. That would be absolutely so cool. Live stream, middle of frickin' nowhere, on a huge, massive game trail with an epic lake in the background, possibly seeing moose, grizzly bear. There will be a grizzly bear on there for sure. Wolves, probably. Within a week, maybe. Probably. They're on a 2-week routine usually. Or whatever else comes by, right? That'd be crazy. So I'm going to try to do that. Now, excuse me. Let's get into this email. I'm going to imagine this is going to be very informative and interesting. Listen to this. What do we got? This is titled Edgar's Info Collaboration. It's from the Arizona 4. Hi, Steve and all of the round table. I'm going to do my best to keep this short and to the point. If I jump around, I apologize in advance because, as I've stated before, there's so much to this. And relevancy is accounted for over countless encounters. First, I'd like to remind you that I'm not an expert, rather than just a simple man who's been looking for answers, not fame or anything like that. I've dedicated a substantial amount of time in this field of learning in the past 6 years, and have reached a primary goal of 10,000 hours in the field. And what we, the Arizona 4, have learned, or should I say, come to understand from first-hand interactions with the people. Quote, the people, end quote. I refer to as the forest people, has been life-altering. The info you shared from Edgar recently was the icing on the cake, so to speak, for me. I've stated before about asking about God and their comment about He's the Creator, He's the Almighty. This leads to an interaction in August of last year, 2022. We were at Sasquatch Camp, my favorite location, up on the Mogollon Rim in central Arizona. We were doing a night sit and was having what I consider an average night until Eadon Jen showed up. She is an elder and the widow of the one I referred to as Indy. Indy had died a year and a half prior to this, and it seemed that a lot of the interactions had dropped off the map. Now that I didn't have any, it's just that it was less than what I was used to from Indy. So, on this night, Indy's widow showed up, and this is the account to my best of my memory. We were sitting and enjoying the interactions when I got the living shit zapped out of me, and I recognized the, quote, signature, end quote, to the zap. I said, well, hello, Eadon Jen. Thank you. The mind speak began as the guys could see a very large distortion directly behind me. I was told through mind speak that a decision was made and she was going to take over Indy's place with me, and I was now considered part of the family. She gave me her real name. As all this is going on, I'm relaying what's going on with the rest of the guys. She immediately said, I'm the only one allowed to use this name because it's a family name and I'm now family. She asked me to confess my faith. So I started to, in my mind, and she abruptly stopped me and said, no, out loud. So I did, which really threw the guys off. The guys know I'm born-again Christian and my faith is unshakable, but really was not of the norm with me. I explained what she asked of me, and they were shocked. There's a lot more to this night, but I'm trying only to share what's relevant to Edgar's email. The following month, September 22, we were at another location we call Hilltop 91, about 4 miles away as the crow flies from Sasquatch Camp. Rob had his older son and his friend up on this trip because they were interested in learning what's going on. I really wished they weren't there for this after the fact because of what happened to me. It really wasn't one that someone with no experience should have been there for. Just my thought. And here's the account of this night. We were sitting in a kind of a half a circle after dark, and the interactions began lightly. I guess I should explain. We usually get a very light tingle, like a zap, when they come in. Seeing little twinkle lights, they are like little LED lights that pop on and off. They vary in different colors, red, blue, green, and white. Twigs will get snapped. Once in a great while they will grunt, whistle, or click. They do communicate back and forth with these clicks. It took thousands of hours of audio recordings to figure the clicking thing out. Back to this night. We knew they were there, and I at one point got up and walked about 20 yards to the little 2-track road and stood there by myself in total darkness. Across the road, just to my left, I heard a 500-pound squirrel chirping about 15 yards away. I laughed and said, hi, nice try, and got zapped pretty good. Then I was unable to move, and felt as if I got shoved, not in a threatening manner, and was just able to get my footing before hitting the ground. I laughed out loud and said, okay, I'll go sit down. She, Re-N, walked across the road directly in front of me, but at an angle, and through the outskirt of the campsite and stepped on a dead branch that was laying on the ground, and it snapped. I was laughing as I returned to my chair and relayed what happened. They never saw or heard her except for Chuck, who only saw movement. It was bottom of coal mine dark out, and the only reason I saw her was she was just over 7 feet tall, and she silhouetted the skyline. She has a slender build compared to some of the others. After a short while, I got the shit zapped out of me again, and once again I knew the signature and said, well, hello. Bracket Eadon Jen. Eadon Jen. Possibly how you pronounce it. I stood up and started to walk back to the 2-track road, but was immediately dropped to my knees and was told, kneel before your creator. Had I not got my arms out in front of me, I would have face planted. So now I'm on my forearms and knees. Side note, I've had apocalyptic type visions since I was about 13 years old. While on my knees, I had every single event that I've seen flash in front of my eyes, and it felt like I had terabytes of information uploaded. I was told, time is almost up, and the rest I'll keep to myself, but it's relevant to what's going on in the world today. I was so overtaken by this and perplexed about where to go with all this as I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Moving on to our last trip a couple weeks ago at Sasquatch Camp, it was only 3 of us: Wayne, Chris, who wrote in about the healing of it to his hand, and myself. Chris and I had cots set up in the open, and Wayne had his camper. We were there for 2 nights, and this is the account. First night started out as normal, and had what I'm guessing 6 or 7 of them posted up around us. As the night went on, we ended up going out to the road. Chris was looking north up the road, and Wayne and I were looking south down the road when he said, "Do you see that?" I said, "Yeah." We saw one about 7 to 8 foot tall cross the road from west to east. All 3 of us walked over to where we thought it crossed. Didn't see anything, so we decided to continue down the road. After about 5 or 6 steps, something caught my attention to the west. I stopped and was looking intently to try and see anything. Just then, 3 really bright flashes about the size of tennis balls lit up about 20 feet in the trees. Now, we were all 3 standing next to each other when this one area started looking like the 4th of July, with those little twinkle lights and what looked like static discharges. Wayne looked down at his feet and was blown away with 3 little green lights at his feet. He said, "I'm going over there." He had only taken a step and a half when he had this static charge all around his back and head. As he finished that step, he vanished into thin air. I said, quote, "Wayne, are you okay?" End quote. He responded he was fine. I said, "I can't see you." Chris, who was on my right side, said, "I see him, but his back and head is full of twinkle lights and static." I leaned over to get Chris's view, and there Wayne was. I leaned back, and he was gone. I grabbed Chris and dragged him into my line of sight and said, "Holy shit, he's gone." Meanwhile, Wayne was talking and he was fine. When I say Wayne was gone, we could see the trees past him clearly, just no Wayne. Wayne stepped back, and just like that, everything was back to normal. We went back to camp and tried to figure out what just happened. Holy shizzle. The only thing we come up with is the one that crossed the road stepped out of a portal, crossed the road and went about his business. And what we experienced was, possibly, the residual energy from the portal. We feel it was deliberately done. Just another lesson. The following night, interactions were good and almost comical. Over the past 6 years, one of the things I do when I know they are around, I'll say very loudly, "Marco," and then say, you're supposed to say, "Polo." I never had any kind of response until this night. I was just about to say Marco when I was told in my mind speak, "Don't do it," in kind of a frustrated tone. "We will not respond. It's childish." So I will comply with the request. I told the guys, we laughed about it. Shortly after that, I saw a movement just past where my cot was, about 30 yards away from where we were sitting. I got up, walked over there, and was told, "Close enough." I stopped. He stepped out from behind a tree about 15 yards away. I could only see from the chest up because of the skyline behind him. He was about 9 feet tall, medium build, and I said, "Hi, I see you." And he clicked. And one about 20 yards to my right clicked back. I clicked, he clicked, and then dropped down on all 4, I'm guessing, because I couldn't see him any longer. Later that night, after going to sleep, 2 different times I had my foot lightly grabbed, and it was a big hand. I no longer panic when something like this happens. It's all about trust. The trip Chris had his hand worked on, previous email, was just an incredible of a night, as these that I just mentioned, along with the transformation Chuck went through over the past 6 years, has absolutely led me/us down a very spiritual, Jesus-based path. I know it's difficult for most, if not all, to fully grasp, let alone believe, but as we always state, quote, "How in the world could we possibly explain this to anyone who isn't here," end quote. Let me ask this. Do you trust the governments? Who writes the curriculum that all schools use and teach by? How long has the deception gone on? Who pays for the sciences? the very first email I sent, I asked if you ever had read The Allegory of the Cave, also known as Plato's Cave. If you'd like a worldly view of the deception, please take the time to do so. It will open your eyes. I'll end this for now. Take from what you will, with all my love and respect. Peace out. Kevin Keene, aka Arizona Squatch. And then he emails it again. Edgar's info collaboration part 2. As Steve of the Round Table, I decided to add to my last email as I feel it wasn't complete, referring to Edgar's email. I always try to keep things short because there's a lot to tell. I don't want to send a book's worth of info or overload to you and everyone else. Let me simply say that everything Edgar said we've been told minus the extreme length of time they've been here. Not to say that's incorrect, just that I've never asked due to some common sense on my part. Melba Ketchum's DNA study states their DNA on the mother's side is 100% human, and the nuclear side or father's side is origin unknown. This simply means that they are younger as a people than we are. I will attest that after reading this study, I first went down the path of Nephilim. However, after what I've learned from them about God, Jesus, and the love they have broadcasted, not just myself but others on the team and members of my family, the love they share between themselves, I had to regroup and rethink my stance. This is why I coined the phrase, don't let your paradigm dictate your experiences. Let your experiences dictate your paradigm. Knowing fully that I can't trust the sciences and the outright lies of evolution theory, which I've spent a great deal of time studying, I'm left with the most reliable source of history, the Bible, to see if there's any collaboration there, and yes, very possibly, the answers are there. It's a stretch, but I do believe it's there. So, if God is absolute love, and the type of love they've shown us, that kind of love can only come from our Creator. I know people in this field like Scott Carpenter insist they are of Nephilim origin, but that's just not the case with the people. Maybe with others like Dogman, but not the people. What I'm leaning on is they are possibly the descendants of Esau, grandson of Abraham, firstborn of Isaac. Esau in Hebrew means hairy. I have a long way to go with this, and like everything else, I may have to change my mind. But I have been told by them, after asking if they were the new Watchers, and also asking about the Esau thing, both times, quote, you were on the right path, end quote. Could this all be deception? Of course it could be. However, with all I've learned, I highly doubt it. Question everything. Why do the powers that be want the information on these people skewed? My answer is simply this. Our world is run by the Nephilim, pure evil, wanting to hide the truth of our history and our Creator, and frankly, they have done an outstanding job at this so far. I'm quite confident that Edgar and his fellow scientists will attest to this in some degree. Just for giggles, I'm attaching the very first audio recording I captured of Indy speaking it, 3 words, hic, to, su, with a metallic click at the end. They do this when they talk, kind of like the Aborigines in Australia. As always, with love and respect, peace out. Kevin Keene at Arizona Squatch. Okay, man, I'm not online in here. My internet hookup thing is on the dock with the boat. But I see that it is attached in here, so I'll have to dig it up on the laptop in the house, find it, load it on here, and then I will. It'll be on here, okay, you guys? It's like I can't listen to it right now here. There's no internet. These are I'm reading these out of my notes, so I copy out of the email and save them here. But anyways, there's a chunk, another chunk from the Arizona 4. Appreciate you, man. And if you can, possibly never, if you, unless you are sworn to by respect for somebody, it's a request. share what you got, man. Don't hold out. Don't hold out. There's many, many people here that are on the same page as you. They're digging, they're looking, and they're after new knowledge whenever they can get it and wherever they can get it from. So if there is a clause in there about running out of time, you definitely got my attention. I mean, I've said, I don't know how many times I've said it on here. I've always felt like I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. A friend of mine said last night, man, he goes, you sure work a lot. Holy crap. He goes, I sure hope you love it. And my reply to him was, I love everything I do. My problem is I am very, very aware of running out of time. And that's why I'm tired all the time, because I just keep trying to do as much as I can nonstop. And I probably need about 5 lifetimes to do everything that I love to do completely, thoroughly, you know? But my brain's meshing up with my mouth. Anyway. The time thing. I'm curious. I am very, very curious about that part of it, for sure. Now, the Nephilim thing. The Nephilim running the world. Absolutely makes sense to me. I was talking about some real good conversations with a friend of mine who is in the military. And he is way up there in the military. And the only time we can talk is when we're in person. And I said to him recently, last night before, I said, we're talking about how everything is absolute insanity right now. And how it's almost like if you were to finally get in that position of absolute influence over a country. And then you take, say, the top, I don't know, let's say 6 countries in the world who seem to have the greatest influence over the world. And you got to think, these people are what we consider highly educated, right? Highly educated people. They know how to deliver. They know how to speak to a crowd. They're confident. They're educated by the system. Possibly not the real world. I guarantee you'll take any one of those ding-dongs into the real world and I'll have them in tears in less than a week. Excuse me. So they're not educated in the real world. They're educated in the system. And the system has put them where they are. But they cannot be that dim between the ears to not see the absolute destruction and human pain they are facilitating. Right? You just cannot be aware of that once you get to that position. It's not even remotely possible. Now, what I'm getting at is, when you watch these individuals, it's almost like a clown show when they speak publicly in front of a camera, when they're asked a blatant question and they blatantly do not answer it. They do circles. They do blatant circles. I mean, right in your face. Do not make sense and go in a circle with some kind of a bullshit answer. Right? Now, I watched that and I wonder to myself, what kind of an influence would it take to make a person with an education and a position of influence like that do that? If you might have a little bit of compassion for humanity, maybe even a little bit, what could possibly make that person do that? And knowingly annihilate humans in different countries, make life absolute hell for the people in your country, make things unaffordable, make things unattainable, and cause people to donate possibly 3/4 of their life to working, to make money, to fund them, right? Follow me. Just stay with me for a minute. Now when I take a look at all of the main people in those positions of influence around the globe, and I see they're doing basically the same thing. There's a pattern of how they speak. There's a pattern of how they lie. There's a pattern of how they do not answer questions. All right. So, how do all of them act and react like that? There's only one of 2 reasons for me what I'm coming up with. Number 1 is all of them are absolutely ruthless, evil, dark people. Or some entity, some power of influence has had a talking with all of them, and a very serious one. We're talking some serious persuasion. Now who is it, and how do they persuade all of these people in that position to do what they're doing today? Right? Now you got to think about it yourself. You've got a wife, you've got a husband, you've got children, you've got family, you've got a future. You've got all the money you need. What could possibly motivate you to do and facilitate darkness? it'd have to be a very substantial threat, right? It's either going to be, I'm trying to picture myself in that position. What could make me do this? Relentlessly and not stop, no matter what. I will not answer a question directly, no matter what. I will continue to make life more difficult for the people in my country, no matter what. I will facilitate bombing and killing of thousands of people in another country, like everybody else is doing, no matter what. Here comes Adventure Dog. Sorry. And so, the only way I could feel that I would possibly be motivated to do that, being a, quote, educated person, either A, this is just for me, what could motivate me? How could I get suckered into or pressured to this? Either I am going to be shown an example of what will happen to my children. I'll possibly be shown an example of what will happen to my family and my children if I do not comply. Okay, that might be able to do it, maybe depending on how severe it might be. Or I will be shown an example of what will be done to this planet if I do not comply. Right? What other way could you get motivated to be so dark? Right? What do you guys think? Do you think that all of these people who are put in these positions of absolute influence in countries, do you think they are absolute evil and dark? Or are they being absolutely controlled and threatened in a level that we can't even imagine? It's got to be one or the other, don't you think? That's what I'm looking at currently, trying to figure out the shit show that's going on. But anyway, in the meantime, it all trickles down, everything's related. Deny these and other facts at all costs, no matter what. Deny, right? And that's what I said earlier in the very beginning of this ride. I said one of the easiest ways to show that we are being deceived and misled is exposing the fact of these other people, these beings, existing around us. It's the easiest one, right? We've proven it here. What, we got nearly 300,000 people are subscribed here without asking them to. I think the most views we had in a month was over 10 million. I've been reading emails every single frickin' day for how long? You know how many people that is? You know how many witnesses that is? Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of global witnesses just to this one example. Witnesses. This isn't one witness in a murder trial. Yet, it still goes in it, well, for some, not anymore, not here. But for a lot of people, it just goes in that circle. Deny. We need proof. You need more proof. There's no proof. You got to get off that train. The proof's in our face. We got the proof. We need the real answers now. It's the real answers that whoever it is does not want us to have. Right? It takes a lot of time to learn. It takes a lot of time to learn. It's a big dedication. It's a big donation. It's a big sacrifice to go after knowledge, right? On your own. I mean, there's a whole pile of good out there. I try to show all of you as much good in the real world as I can. There's a whole pile of it out there, and you just want to go roll around in it and soak in as much as you can. But it's hard to be alive today. It's hard. It's hard to survive today. It's hard to make money today to create that home, food, safety, raising a family, trying to get a home. If not even for some people trying to get a job, let alone being able to pursue the real world and all the good that it has to offer, right? It's very, very hard today. Why is that? Who has caused that? There's no reason for that. There's no real true reason that life has to be like this for so many millions of people. And what, 1% controls them in a way, right? It's not supposed to be that way. So anyways, but the time, the appreciation I have for so many people who have dedicated their lives, which is so valuable, their time of life, they've dedicated so much of their time to seeking out truth and knowledge and sharing it with us, right? I mean, what a commitment, what a sacrifice, what a generous thing to do. The Owl Man, Arizona 4, Melba, Ketchum, Scott Carpenter, Dave Plottis, I'm sorry, I apologize if I'm missing out on a handful of names, but there is a good solid handful of people out there, not most of them not connected in any way. The scientists that I have become aware of and had their knowledge shared with us through Edgar. Scientists around the world. They have dedicated so much of their time of life to gaining knowledge, and then they share it here with us. I mean, that is just such a huge gift. Gotta appreciate them, right? Gotta appreciate them. That's funny, I was talking to a doctor friend of mine a handful of years ago about this topic, and he said flat out, he's actually a veterinarian, owned a few clinics. He said to me flat out, he didn't have overly too much interest in this topic, but he just said flat, he goes, you know what, Steve, it's time. It takes a lot of time to look into this topic. I don't have that time or interest. I got too much stuff in the go. He goes, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of information out there. I just don't have time. Off it goes. End of story. All right, he's deep in the grind. He's completely enthralled into the system and going for it, and he has to keep going with that little money-making monster he's created, right? It's gobbling up his time of life, which doesn't allow him to have any time to learn about much else, right? See how that works? I'm not saying don't work, but I'm just saying your average person has so much shit going on just trying to survive today. How are they going to go out of their way to donate a piss load of their time to finding out real, true knowledge that is being successfully suppressed and hidden from all of us? Not just this topic, but many other ones, right? It all connects. Everything's connected. It all leads to the same source. It does. Anyways, I'm babbling. Not just emails like this. All the emails always have my screws are turning, man. My wheels are turning non-stop as I try to do as much as I can, because I just feel like I'm running out of time all the time. Now, babble. Babbling. Anyway, keep talking, keep sharing. Please, if you are stuck there, try to jump off of the train that leads to we need more proof when it comes to these beings. We don't. We've got all the proof we need. If you are riding that train, you are what I would consider to be today an enabler of preventing truth to come forward. Because if you get on that train of thinking you need more proof, I'm going to go set some trail cameras and beat up some trees. And I am the best researcher out there. Nobody works as hard as me. Said almost all of those people on that train. I don't know why. But you're facilitating, preventing us from finding out truth because you're wasting your time at this stage of the game. You got to move forward. You have to move forward. All right? It's a trap. It's a blatant trap. Deny. No, just deny it. That'll make them think they got to get more proof, and off they go. Perfect. They fell into the trap perfectly. They presented me what they know, what they saw. I denied it. Now they think they got to go get better proof to convince me. Waste time. You seen, you heard, you smelled, you saw, you know. Now, find out the answers. Let's find out the answers. Right? It's funny, I watched a show the other day. Came up on my feed. It said, new documentary on Bigfoot or Sasquatch. I don't even remember the name of it. Now I looked at the date. I'm like, oh God, what's this one? I looked at the date, and it was recent. I gotta go, let's have a look at this for a minute. Some guy. And he found some individuals, I don't know who they are, and interviewed them and had some clips of some of these people standing in a room full of people, small room, talking about Bigfoot, what they've discovered, and it's weird. It's just a weird pattern for me when I've seen a handful of these individuals that I don't have any time for normally. And one common denominator with these people who think they're seeking and searching out more proof is almost all of them said blatantly to the camera, nobody's been in the forest as much as me. Nobody's worked as hard as me. Nobody's got the evidence I've got. Nobody's as good as me. I'm the best one. Sorry, but I gotta point it out because I just had that in my face the other day. It's a common denominator with most of those people who can consider themselves these researchers, and I'm going to get the proof first because I am the best. Nobody but me. Right? It's a funny characteristic to watch, in a way. And I'm not being insulting. I'm just sharing with you guys what I see and hear. Okay? You can't make that shit up. It's unfortunate to watch. I'd imagine 100% of those individuals can't stand me or what's getting delivered here because it goes against everything they're trying to do. It just goes against everything they are doing. They're stuck in the trap. They're stuck in the trap that leads nowhere and facilitates the hiding of the truth, preventing of the truth becoming exposed. Okay, I'll say that for the last time. I'm done on that. Sorry, I'm babbling. I got coffee in me again. Okay, now one more thing to mention on the topic of not just the Arizona 4, but many other people, many other groups and individuals who I am getting to know a lot better. I trust, and I listen to them. And I listen to everybody. I do not jump on anybody's bandwagon. I listen, I soak it up, I appreciate everything they have discovered and shared with me, and I soak it up. And they tell me what they've discovered, and me, I'll go, interesting. Right? Okay, well, that's very interesting. Note taken. And then I talk to more people. Note taken. And I talk to everybody here. Note taken. I'm looking for that pattern. But one thing that I have, that I will share here, that may be confusing, I'm not certain yet. Maybe these answers will be made for me once I do get to go visit these various groups of people, which I am. I will be with them. Is 100% of the First Nations people I speak with, 100% of them say, quote, "We were raised to not speak to the people." End quote. And stressed about that. You're not supposed to speak with them. We're not supposed to speak to them. We're raised to not speak to them, ever. Okay? That's from the First Nations people who I feel very confident in listening to. I'm not jumping on their bandwagon either, but I really pay attention when I am fortunate enough to have, especially an elder First Nations person speak to me with knowledge. I am very grateful, and I listen. I really listen. Because I just have something draws me to listen to the First Nations people intently. I listen to everybody intently, but I really listen to First Nations people. I do believe that we should have been listening to them more from the beginning, and then I watch what's happened to them as a people. I watch how they were attempted to be prevented from speaking their language, their culture, their history was attempted to be wiped out. Why? Right? And then it comes back to me knowing that whoever tries to stop someone from speaking is 100% guilty. Right? So, the individuals who somewhat successfully annihilated the speech and the history and the culture and the stories of the First Nations people, they're guilty as F. Why do they want them to be quiet? They're not going way out of the way to try to keep the non-Aboriginal people quiet. Why is that? So, do I feel there's a possibility, a slight possibility, that these other groups of individuals who are not First Nations Aboriginal to the land, this particular land, whatever. Sorry, I'm babbling. But is there a slight possibility that they may be getting suckered in and misled? There's always that possibility, right? But I keep that possibility over here on this little shelf over here, and it stays right there until I get confirmed for me that speaking, interacting with these people, these entities, these beings is a good thing. It might possibly be, am I convinced 100% that communicating directly with these beings is a good thing? I'm on the fence. I'm still learning. I haven't made my decision yet. I'm on the fence. But when I hear my senior members of the Aboriginal community tell me flat out, look me in the eye, you're not supposed to talk to them. Oh, note taken. I got that sitting here too, right? Do I believe that is 100% fact? I'm on the fence. I don't know for certain myself yet. I'm going to find out. But I'm just telling you how my brain goes about taking in the information, what I do with it, how I make my decisions and carry myself. I'm learning. We're all learning together. I'm an open book. I babble. I don't rehearse anything. I don't think about how I'm going to say something to you guys. There's no phony bullshit here. We're all sitting at a table. You guys, we're all buddies. We're all friends. We're family. We're just sitting here talking. Right? I don't give a shit what I wear, what I look like, or how I deliver, how I sound. I don't care. It's knowledge. It's not trying to get hits and views and followers and all that horse shit. It's a group of like-minded people trying to get the frickin' answers of what's going on. And if we can get those answers, and like this previous email said, that there was mention that time's running out. Red flag. Okay, let's pick up the speed at learning then, so that maybe we can prevent that clock from going there. Right? Then we can at least justify all this time we put here and make it create something good. Right? Turn something around possibly. Right? Because the people who are put in the position of absolute persuasion right now, they're making our clock speed up. And they're making quality of life for so many people not so good. And that needs to be changed. The way you change that is by getting more knowledge, the good knowledge, the true, honest knowledge, right? There you go, I'm babbling. Let's get somebody else heard. All right, who else do we got? This is titled A Little Off Roundtable, but Steve, I've been with you from the beginning, the Howtohunt days, the app, etc. I'm a member of the round table and watch you on the big screen nightly. I agree with everything you stand for, including deleting the bully MFers who've lied to us from the beginning, and caused the loss of those skills that once kept us alive when we lived in caves. That said, Steve, what is going on in your country, brother? I had Tucker on with background while in the shop and heard they want to take away your guns. Okay, we have the issue in the States too, but they just made cocaine and mushrooms, etc. legal in Vancouver. Forgive me, but I don't watch the fake any news, but feel free for you having heard this. Mushroom vending machines? What? Can you not talk about this on the facts, brother, or is this too off topic? I just had to reach out. Brother, good guy sergeant right here when you need, bro. Okay, a little off topic it is too, but it goes into the shit show. I was just informed from Sarah the other day that in schools in Duncan, I think she said, and Couchman was one of the first ones to come up with safe snorting kits for cocaine in schools. They just made cocaine, heroin, all sorts of stuff legal. Is it a good thing? I guess if you're inclined to do those drugs, you're going to get them anyway. Why are they promoting this to children? I do not know. Dude, I don't have a frickin' clue what's going on. I do know that whoever it is really, really preying on our new generations, big time, with a whole bunch of dark shit. It's very, very alarming. That's why we're here together talking, right? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then you got another email from the same person tagged below. Steve, you asked today, so is the title. I'm saying this again to the other address, but I'm sure you should have received it by now. Please share, Steve. Okay, should have received it. I receive them all. It's just whether or not I get to them and see them and read them yet. There's gazillions of emails. Hey brother, been with you since the Howtohunt days, watch every episode. Hey brother, been with you since the HTH days and watched the facts episode you've made since. I believe we're cut from the same cloth when it comes to a need for the real world, more often than most, disdain for the media, D-bags, and those in power. One and the same a lot of the time. And believe, like you, that strength and change can only come from the people, as well as that they, the people, are the source of real knowledge. And yes, it needs to start with the children. With that out of the way, let me try to answer your question with regard to your sensing a pattern of Sabe retreat of sorts when the Lord in some form or fashion is invoked, which we've heard countless times in your readings. Countless times, right? It is a pattern. Then you asked, but have we heard of a time when someone has been close enough to see the hairs on their body, the weathered gray skin, the long arms below the knees, that close, and then seen them that close, and then seen them turn tail when God is mentioned? Do you need that? Isn't the trend you're reading enough? I've yet to see a grizzly actually taking a dump in the wild, but when I come upon its sign, I know a grizzly left it for sure. True enough, and I've seen them take it up. I'm not a preacher by any means, but I am as I know you are too, a student of human nature and behavior, most of which is asked backwards half the time. So, if I were to only take that, which I've heard from the round table, and Scott of course, and couple it with some research, it seems to me, for lack of better evidence to the contrary from the people and my own research, that these beings are likely descendant Nephilim, or the Nephilim are connected to this. It's too much of a coincidence to think otherwise. The clues are everywhere. Dash, they would be giants. Dash, they would have what we call heightened powers, or should I say, not have lost, that we once had, and their abilities were, quote, said to be, end quote, greater than ours to manipulate / move in and out of the world, which is present all around us, but we can't access it. The DNA issue. Female, human, unknown male. It's written in hundreds of books. How they came from heaven and took human wives and had children. The men of renown in giant stature and strength and angelic powers. That they've been here as far back as recorded history goes. Including, but not limited to, reportedly scared by the word or mere mention of God. All these things, and these are only a snippet, a coincidence? They don't reportedly run away if we say zebra or Zeus, do they? But the people do say they retreat and or are rebuked by God, right? Take from what you will, brother, but do take. I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you in the good guy army any day, Steve. I do hope you choose to read this one online, if for no other reason than to give the people the choice to take or leave it as well. Be well, brother. Frank D. You too, Frank. Appreciate you. I appreciate you big time taking your time of life to send that in. And your wheels are turning, and you're thinking, and you're learning, and that's a good thing, and we need you to contact us more. Now, what do you guys think? Right? You can't deny the patterns. You can't. You can't deny the patterns. You can't. How many people out there are denying numerous patterns that we've discovered here? Or maybe, well, actually, no. These patterns have been discovered since the first time somebody came forward with witnessing something. It's just the previous years, a group of individuals have made sure to ignore those patterns. Don't speak of them, deny them. Don't expose those patterns. Let's just keep it to some rotting monkey in the woods being attracted to the scent of food and pheromone chips. Right? Right? So now here we are, millions of people seeing, speaking of, and acknowledging these patterns that are usually a little too bit much for our simple brains to wrap around, right? Not anymore. So, there you go. There is some patterns with what this man just wrote in about. Can't deny it. Can't deny it. Take from what you will or leave it, right? Take from what you will or leave it. But keep it coming. Keep it coming and keep talking out loud. No matter how outrageous you think it may sound, it doesn't matter. You keep it coming. Here's another one titled From East Coast Kate. Hi, Steve. Your question after reading my email as, quote, she was face to face with this being in a cave, end quote, was what did my son remember about it? That's right. You said so take you guys back. This kind woman wrote in a couple weeks ago, I believe. Well, who knows when she wrote in, but I read it a couple weeks ago. Her and her son were hiking, saw these granite slabs. I think were in a form of a teepee-like or some kind of structure. She entered inside it, and one of these beings was right there, face to face. And whatever went down, but she left, they ran, and she didn't mention about what how her son reacted. And I remember I asked that after reading her email, what about your son? So she wrote back with that answer. He says he remembers nothing. He doesn't remember going there. He doesn't remember seeing and walking along the stream. He doesn't remember the boulders or the huge being. Wow. Yes, I also think that's strange too. As I said, he raced back to the car. And him thinking that my saying, quote, we're going to run back to the car now, was some sort of instruction to be urgent because of danger, which it wasn't. Today I'm considering that he was traumatized, but he has just blanked out. I am hoping that having recounted our experience, it might nudge some memories. I'll ask him again after a few weeks and see if anything drops for him. I seem to be unable to get into my YouTube account, so I can't post this info to your other viewers as I said I would. Take care. Thanks for being a voice for all of us. Kate. Okay, Kate. Yeah, YouTube's a funny thing. There's a lot of people have emailed me asking me why I deleted their comments. I'm not deleting shit. I'm not unsubscribing anybody, and I'm not deleting anything. I rarely read the comments, just the odd time. So, you know, we all know what's up with the YouTube thing. It's not the YouTube, it's who owns it, right? Keywords, artificial intelligence, how they're programming to weed out certain words spoken, right? Certain words in titles, certain words in description, puts the automatic artificial intelligence on high alert, and they come after you, and then they start going through your shit, and they delete stuff that they don't want you to talk about or see. That's what's going on. It's not me. Now, getting back to your son. Excuse me. I've had a lot of people. Edgar's about to do it. I forget the term. It's when you get put under with some sort of mild hypnosis and take you back to that time and relive it and figure out what the hell went down. That might be an option. That might be an option, right? Is that a good or bad thing? I don't know, because I'm not up to date on the results of what happens after you get brought back to that traumatizing moment, especially for a child. I haven't a clue. So, if you do consider doing it, I would strongly suggest doing your complete full research and speak to people directly who have done it and find out what the aftermath was like for them. You know what I mean? Like, did it possibly take them back to that episode through hypnosis? They relived every second of it and they came out of it, and then all of a sudden they've developed PTSD, some form of it or whatever. I don't know. Is it a possibility? For certain. Has it happened? Haven't a clue. So, before you possibly take your son to one of these qualified people to do that, do your homework and speak to previous clients who have done that and find out what happened to them after they were brought back to that traumatizing moment, before you possibly expose your son to something not too good, right? Because I don't know. Is it us? Is it our natural reaction to suppress traumatizing events? Is that built into us, by us, to protect us? Or is that something created for us by some other entity or power that doesn't want us to acknowledge that episode and share it? Right? I don't know. Did I just make sense? I don't know if I made sense either. Really babbling today, aren't I? Really babbling today. Alright. What's this one? Very short, and it's titled, I Can't Get This to the People. Well, guess what? Steve, there's a documentary on YouTube called The Great Awakening Documentary, premiered June 3rd, 2023. It explains everything going on in the world today. I tried to share the link in the comment section of YouTube Shorts, but it is censored. I go and check, and my comment is gone. I hope you'll watch it and share it with the world if you see fit. I think you will. Your PM, Trudeau, and my President Biden, and all the current Western world leaders are traitors and servants of the WEF. Please watch that video. I realize that you're short on time, but I'm trying to wake people up to save our countries, and we're out of time. Their plan is in full swing, and if people don't wake up, all is lost. Thank you, Jeff Harwood. I don't foresee you reading this online, but if you do, you can read my name. It's not as if anyone listens to me anyway. They're listening now, man. What are you talking about? You just stood on top of the building and yelled out, and the people heard and listened. Okay? Let that be an example for every other human being out there. Everybody counts. Now, I guarantee you, if I watch that show, there's going to be nothing new on there for me, but there might be for some other people. I'm very, very aware of what's going on in the planet. Now, what else do we got? Do I got time to do another one? I haven't even done my laundry from the last handful of days. Imagine what my bag smells like right now, my fishing clothes. I gotta get all that shit washed. Sarah's busy, there's a bunch of little yard apes running around the house right now, shredding the place. It's a lot of fun and chaos, but she's busier than hell. I'm doing what I can to not cause her any more Time getting ate up. All right, what else do we got here? Okay, one more. This is titled, I Saw It While Turkey Hunting. Hi Steve, been watching many of your videos lately and decided to share my story. Thank you so much. A little background on me, I'm 36 years old. I was born in the far northern Minnesota on the Canadian border, just west of the Boundary Waters Canoe area, an area with very little population and big, old timbered forests. When I was 5 years old, my family moved to Alaska. We lived in Anchorage briefly, then Nome, then Fairbanks. We moved back to Minnesota just before my 13th birthday, so spent about 8 years up there in total. My parents are lifelong hunters. Wow, I can't believe you guys left Alaska. I don't think I would if I had a chance to live there. I was raised a hunter and have spent many days in the woods, starting from well before I was allowed to carry a gun. I say this so people will understand that I have lived in some very remote, very wild areas with tons of wilderness, and I have a lot of experience in the woods. That said, I know there are many animals that exist that I personally have never seen in the woods. Wolverine, mountain lion, lynx, and wolves, to name a few. Even though I know there are many of them in the areas we hunt, I'm certainly not naive to the fact that many things exist without a person actually seeing them for themselves in the wild. For this reason, I've always been a bit of a Sasquatch believer and a skeptic. Well, here's my story of what I believe to be a very brief Bigfoot/Sasquatch encounter. My dad and I were turkey hunting together near the Rum River in Princeton, Minnesota, only about a mile as the crow flies from my parents' home at the time, the home that I lived in from the time I was 13 until I graduated college. We were set up in a ground blind next to an alfalfa field that had an old logging road off to one side of it to our left. The property was probably 70 to 80 yards wide from the road to the edge of the woods on our far right and 100 to 120 yards long from the edge that we were set up on to the other side of the field. We were sitting together in the blind just on the edge of the woods behind us and to our right, so we had basically the whole field in front of us. We had a couple of turkey decoys set up about 10 to 15 yards in front of us. We were set up and in the blind before sunup and sat most of the morning with very little action. Heard some turkeys gobbling before sunup, saw a doe wander across the field and graze a bit, and a couple turkeys that we couldn't get to come in to the decoys fairly early in the day. Around 10 or 10:30 in the morning, something caught my eye off the back end of the field, and I saw what appeared to be a bear standing upright on two legs cross the logging road in no more than 2 strides. I wasn't sure what the heck I'd just seen, and immediately asked my dad if he saw it. He did not. I grabbed the binoculars, scoped the tree line on the far side of the field, looking for movement, but I never saw anything again. I described what I saw to my dad, and he could tell I was super spooked. Every hair on my body was standing on end, and despite each of us having 12 gauges, loaded with 3-inch turkey shells, I wanted nothing more to get the hell out of there ASAP. It didn't take me long to convince my dad to bag it for the day. We never went down to look for tracks or check out the area where I saw it cross the old road, but I knew the area well. I don't think any man would have just been wandering around down by the river while we were hunting back there. I used to ride 4-wheeler on that road and down in the river bottom all the time. The road was probably 10 to 12 feet wide the whole way to the river. I don't know any man that would be able to cover that distance in just a couple strides at a normal walking pace without jumping. The angle I was looking at could have messed with my eyes, but if it was a man I saw, he was in a ghillie suit or some sort of dark costume that looked like a bear walking upright. I would also think that if it was a human, I would have been able to pick up movement again in the woods on the far side of the field, but I never did. I can't be certain of what I saw, but I know it wasn't like anything else I've seen in my life, and it sure did freak me out, and I haven't been back to that exact area since. Thanks for sharing all the stories. Kyle from Minnesota. Kyle, appreciate you, man. You know what you saw. There's not a question about what you saw. Not a question about it. Appreciate you sending that in, man. And I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad you know what you know, right? But please don't stop doing what you love to do. Make sure you continue to do what you love to do. That's why we're here. We've been given this lifetime to do what we love to do and do good, right? Do good things this lifetime. Experience good things. Share good things. Anyway, I gotta stop babbling and I gotta get going. Now, one last thing. every once in a while, we'll have somebody write in with having some tragic luck for a family member or themselves, and somebody has started GoFundMe for them. We'll share it here, and a lot of the people in the group here are very generous, caring, loving people, and they have gone out of the way to donate 50 cents or $1 or what have you to help these individuals out. A lot of good people here. Now, a while back I mentioned that my friends, dear friends, family, have basically the worst luck you could ever imagine. And they have 3 lovely daughters who I've known every one of them since they've been little teeny tiny babies. And my friend was diagnosed with the big C recently. And it's not good. And she's having a tough time. And a girlfriend of hers started a GoFundMe for her. And I'm going to share it here in the hopes that maybe some people out there would possibly want to chuck 50 cents or $1, but if you could. I know times are tough for most of the people in the world today, but I'm sharing this here anyway, and hope if this is a very special human being in the world that I know, and I'd like to do what I could do to try to help her. She's having a rough go right now, and was just informed that the medication, a bunch of stuff that is required for her to try to maintain life, is not covered. Right? Isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing today that medicines that are being created to help sustain human life is also at the same time being made unobtainable for most people? It's just ridiculous. And sometimes you wonder, get a little off topic, sometimes I wonder, just how old is cancer? How old has cancer been around? Was cancer here when we just went out and ate the real, true, healthy food that's provided to us in the real world? Was cancer alive then, or did we create it? You gotta wonder, right? Anyways, I'm going to put that link in the description below, and if you do, and if you do go out of your way to help out this family of mine, I'd be greatly, absolutely appreciated. I'll be doing what I can. And there you go. Shared. I appreciate everybody here. Now, keep the knowledge flowing. No matter how outrageous and crazy your mind has been manipulated to think it is, it's not. So, share it. Share my story at howtohunt.com is one place of possibly numerous now where you can get your truth shared word for word, right? And more than likely there's going to be somebody here that's witnessed the same thing you have, no matter how outrageous you might think it is, okay? Share it. I'll be back in later.